Hello and welcome to Sangat Sports Show. Today we've got a special guest in the studio today called Juggy Singh Sidhu. Now Juggy is a personal trainer and nutrition expert. Welcome to Sangat TV, Juggy.
Thank you.
So can you tell me a little bit more about yourself? I mean, today we were going to go over diet and nutrition and the importance of it in your lifestyle and your health.
Yeah.
So can you tell me what you do and your basic role at the moment?
So I'm a personal trainer and nutritionist. So I'm actually based in Nottingham, but I do a lot of my work online. So I have clients literally all over the world, from India, Canada, even Hong Kong. So with that, I provide nutrition plans, training plans and supplement plans, obviously based on your personal goal. So say if you're looking to lose weight, we'd go through a consultation process, talk over the phone, meet via Skype, and then we potentially create nutrition and training plans specifically for you.
So when you got a training plan, is that something that you break down in the day? Like this is your food that you eat Monday to Sunday,
Yeah.
and give them the full diet, and these are the training sessions that you do Monday to Wednesday, week on week?
Well, yeah, a lot of this is about education as well. So if I was to provide somebody with a nutrition plan, I wouldn't just say, here, have X amount of this food, X amount of that food, and then tell them what days to have it. I'd give them a lot more information behind why I'm giving them those foods, and actually educate them so that they can actually choose their own foods eventually.
Yep.
But a lot of the times that I work with a client, they go from not understanding nutrition at all and how it affects their body to almost becoming an expert in the matter, or an expert on themselves at least.
Okay. So why is diet and nutrition really important? I mean, you've got supermarkets, you can get what you want there, and why would you say it's important for your people that you are actually helping?
A lot of the time, there's so much choice out there. You can go to a supermarket, like you said, you can pick up foods, but it's knowing what to have at what times and why it's important to have it at those times. Okay. So say if you're training, you might want to, say if you're looking to increase lean muscle, you'd want to make sure that the time that you're training, you're actually maximising your potential to do that. And the same with weight loss. If you're looking to lose weight, you want to know how many calories that you should be eating, you want to know how to track your calorie intake, and you want to know how to eat mindfully when you're not tracking your calories.
Okay, so tell me, how did you get into fitness and this whole role that you've got now and this whole online phenomenon?
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, it started as a young child, as probably about around 10 or 11, when my dad was told he had late onset diabetes, and that kind of changed the whole dynamic of the food in the house, because obviously we were looking to make sure that he stayed healthy, make sure that he didn't get worse in his condition, and it really made me realise the importance of nutrition and what it can do to your health and your well-being and your kind of overall quality of life. And then that made me actually go and educate myself further. So I went to university and I studied performance nutrition in Nottingham, and again that gave me a huge insight into how you could manipulate food to make yourself feel better, improve your body composition and feel healthier as well.
Okay. Just to think about, you just brought making yourself feel better. Can foods actually make you depressed or put you in that sort of stage where it changes your mood levels?
So again, I think food is often used as kind of like a comforter. So there's various foods that you might have yourself that make you feel better, make you feel rewarded. Chocolate,
yeah.
Okay, and that's not uncommon. A lot of people have that. So I think a lot of the time you kind of beat yourself up for having certain foods, whereas you need to realise that you can have certain foods, but in moderation, be aware of what you're eating, and just be mindful of what you're having. The other thing is, with some foods, there's without getting too kind of specific and sciencey, there's a neurotransmitter released, which gives you kind of a reward receptor.
Yep.
So it makes you actually feel like you're rewarded once you've eaten the food. So with those kind of foods, you just need to be mindful of how much you're having and not overeat. So say, for example, if you had chocolate, if you had 2 squares of chocolate, that's not going to have a massive effect. If you had a whole bar of chocolate, then you might have put yourself in a calorie surplus.
But yeah, but everyone's going to buy it. When you buy a bar, you always eat the whole bar.
Exactly. So, and that's just about being aware of what your goal is. I know you're a keen cyclist. So you're potentially not looking at your body composition so much, you're more looking for performance. So if you're looking to fuel your performance, you might get away with that. But if you're looking very specifically to lose body fat, or like me, be a physique athlete and get on stage, then you need to be very careful with what you eat.
I know for me, for example, if I'm cycling and I'll get to the 40 to 50 mile range, that's when I need chocolate, that's when I need my Lucozade just to get me through for the next bit. But
That's fully understandable because you are fueling your exercise at
Yep.
that point, and you're potentially depleted your glycogen stores by the time you got to 40, 50
Yep.
miles. So you will need to replenish that. It's when you're having Lucozade first thing in the morning, or just to get through the day.
Yep.
That's when you need to kind of think, is my diet optimal for me? And a lot of people, if we're talking about day-to-day people right now, people that are sitting at desks most of the time, potentially quite feeling quite lethargic in their general day-to-day energy levels, then that's the point where we need to think, are you eating optimally just to get through the day? And at that point, if you're having Lucozade, if you're having chocolates, just to give yourself a pick-me-up through the day, then we probably need to change a few things.
Okay. So your Sikh faith, how has it influenced your life and your career? And because you're training so hard now in your diet, how does it keep you focused on your exercise, on your health, and overall in your life?
To be honest, I started playing football for a Sikh team,
Yeah.
like the local Gurdwara team, when I was around 10, maybe even earlier that when I started training with them. And that kind of instilled in me almost discipline, working as a team, and it made me feel like I was part of something bigger. And I think that really helped me in my life, the way I live it now, in terms of the discipline that I have with food, with training, and trying to be the best person that I can be. And I really do think that being around the Sikh community from a young age helped channel that towards a positive end.
Okay. So, I've told you about my diet and you were shocked about it.
Yeah.
So I'm a vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for 12 years,
Yeah.
but I'm a bad vegetarian. I don't like vegetables,
Yeah.
which is really weird. So my diet normally revolves around pizzas, chips, corn burgers, Linda McCartney's,
Yeah.
beans and spaghetti hoops and toast with it.
Yeah.
That's all I can really eat. That's all my taste buds really go for.
Yeah.
I do eat roti and dal and stuff, and saag. And saag I'm almost on, but not anything more than maybe some brown dal and saag.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there something inside you that gets you addicted to food the same way that you can get addicted to alcohol? Because I know that, say for example, I did 71 miles yesterday.
Yeah.
I got home, and the first thing I wanted was go to the chippy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was inside my brain was saying, I need that chippy, I need that chippy. For some reason, yesterday, probably because I knew I was going to do the interview, you'd kick off, I had a protein shake
Okay.
with water, and that sort of subdued it a little bit.
Yeah,
But is there
yeah.
something inside that makes, just like alcohol, an addiction, you must have this food?
That's really interesting that you just said that, and I think we kind of talked about this in an earlier conversation. When you've done that exercise, when you've gone and done like 70 miles, which is insane, it's amazing that you've got through that exercise and you've come home. You've depleted a lot of your carbohydrates, so hence obviously the carbs that you're looking to get from the chips, but you've also sweated a lot. So even when you don't realise, you're sweating a hell of a lot when you're cycling. So then you need to replace the electrolytes.
Would that be salt?
Salt from
Yeah.
the chips. Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's
good
really
idea.
strange the way the body works.
Yep.
You'll crave certain foods to actually make yourself feel better, but you won't understand why you're craving those specific foods. But it'll be something within that food that makes you feel better. For example, people that drink fizzy drinks a lot, and I think again we've kind
Yeah.
of discussed this. Fizzy drinks, if you crave them, a lot of the time it's down to A, the sugar, but also B, calcium. If you're deficient in calcium, you'll get that from the fizzy drink. Whereas I'd probably say you're probably better off going for leafy green vegetables or cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and getting the calcium from there.
Okay, yeah, because that probably makes sense. Before, I think I told you before, about 2 years ago, I used to drink, in the morning I'd normally have a can of Coke,
Yeah.
Pepsi Max,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was supposed to be no sugar, which is supposed to be better.
Yeah.
For lunch I'd have the same sort of fizzy drink as well,
Yeah.
Diet Coke or something, and in the evening I'd have one. So I'd go for about a 1 litre of Coke
Yeah.
a day. And I was always on that, and then it's only once when I had an exam, and I don't know why I did, I had 2 cans of Coke in the morning and a Red Bull.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even do the exam because I was shaking so much,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it just, my heart rate just went over the roof.
Yeah.
I've given up on fizzy drinks, but I still will need it now and again. And now it actually makes sense, because the last 2 months I've wanted Lucozade and fizzy drinks every day or so.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've cut down on my milk.
Yeah, yeah.
So I used to drink 2 pints of milk a day, which was
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
But now that's where I'm losing my calcium.
Exactly. And your body's looking for different ways to get that in. And for you, it'd be a fizzy drink. But like I said, there's always alternatives, like better alternatives out there. And there's no reason to cut something out like that completely.
Yep.
If you're having 1 can of fizzy drink a day, it's not going to harm you. But again, you've got to put it into context of your whole diet, rather than just as a microcosm of what you're eating.
Okay. So, in the UK now, I think we're ranked really high now in Europe
Yeah.
with the problem of obesity. So, it affects the Asian community, but maybe it affects the Asian community more than it does the other communities in the UK. But why are so many people obese, and why do people fall into that trap?
I think with Asians specifically, we're very career-minded, I'd say. A lot of us are, and it's not a bad thing to be career-minded, but we're looking to try and build an empire for our families.
Yep.
Okay, we're always looking to be the very best that we can be, and I think that's an amazing trait that we've all got. The issue comes where it starts to affect us negatively in terms of our health. As such career-minded people, we're probably sitting in front of desks most of the day, maybe in front of laptops, maybe doing a lot of travelling, but mainly sitting down. So we're very sedentary now compared to what we used to be like. So before we came over to the UK, we would have been a lot more active.
Yep.
So I think that's why we're starting to see that the problems are actually exacerbating now. And I think you mentioned that there was a study that genetically we're more predisposed to getting diabetes and heart disease.
Yeah, Asians have that. Was that someone said it was due to the buffalo milk that ancestors used to drink? But then, obviously, when looking at it at that stage of point of view, our ancestors and forefathers, they worked in farms, or they were out in the heat doing other jobs, manual labour for probably 12 hours a day.
Yeah, and what did they eat?
Yep.
They ate fresh foods that they probably produced themselves or within the village. So you know that the food would have been very good quality, and it would have had all the nutrients within them. So the things that we eat now from like supermarkets, we mass-produce foods, we're not getting the nutrient quality that we used to have. And the other thing now is we've just got processed food left, right, and centre. The access to real whole foods now is limited compared to the access to kind of like processed foods, fried foods, junk foods. They're on every street corner.
What, you said processed food. What is processed food? Explain that.
For example, corn. It's a man-made product. It's not.
But it's for vegetarians, so it's going to be man-made mostly, isn't it?
But the things, vegetarian foods, for me, should be from whole foods that you can get in single ingredients and put them together and make like a dal or a sabji. You can have those kind of foods and live a vegetarian lifestyle, potentially adding to that some, like quark, some sort of cheeses. I know you like cheese.
Yeah.
It's all relative. You can have those things to get your protein intake in, but I think what tends to happen now is it's easier just to have corn or the Linda McCartney burgers, and it's not always going to be the best thing for you.
Do you think that's just advertising? Because they're all advertising, it's lean in fat. Even I think
Mo Farah,
there's someone, and he's advertising. He's won so many world championships. Do you reckon he eats it? But he's still on about the fact that it's so lean for him.
Is, this is something that's really important, and I'm going to touch upon this. So, if you buy something from a store, you can look at the ingredients and you can say it's got X amount of protein in, it's got X amount of carbohydrates in, X amount of fat, and then it goes into things like sodium, etc. And that's cool, but what does your body actually digest of the corn product, and how much of it is actually bioavailable to be used as protein? And the other side of this is something called essential amino acids. So for vegetarians, they need to have a full spectrum of the 11 essential amino acids, which we need to get from food because we can't make it ourselves.
Yep.
So in that case, we need to make sure that we're getting a range of different types of foods for protein. So things like nuts and seeds, things like legumes, things like dairy, for example.
Yep.
If we can get our protein from those sources, we will hit our essential amino acid requirement. But from corn, we won't. Okay. And I've gone on.
So do I need to take supplements then? Because the problem I have, and I'll go over my diet. You can go over it and see exactly what's wrong later on. Is I can't get so roti I'll have with saag, with saag paneer in there maybe, and a little bit brown dal. The rest of it is all corn or Linda McCartney. So I'm not going to get it, am I?
Well, from that diet, no. Yeah. But I mean, like I said to you, with my vegetarian clients, they're on really nice foods. They're on tasty foods for their morning meals, for their kind of lunch meals, evening meals, even their post-workout foods. It doesn't have to be like kind of bland or boring, and you can have our traditional foods, but we just need to know how to make them and obviously prepare them properly. And the other thing that I kind of touched upon earlier was macronutrient timing. There's a study out there now that if you have a high-fat meal with a high-carb meal, for example, if we have most of our foods are cooked in quite high oils, okay, and then you have that with like roti, which is again very high in carbohydrate, a lot of that energy will be stored as fat. Okay?
I've got this other question. Someone was saying that roti, is it, is there different types of roti that are healthy for you? Because now you've got organic atta and you've got wholemeal atta. Is roti really a good meal to eat? Or
I don't see why not, as long as you can eat it. So again, if you're inflamed, if your body's inflamed, and what I mean by that is you're potentially bloated, you put a lot of weight on quite quickly, when you feel your skin, it's quite kind of thick rather than kind of easy to pinch off. Okay, if your body's inflamed in that way, then you're probably not going to digest that food very well. So things like gluten from flour, you're probably not going to digest that very well. So you potentially need to pull that back, fix your digestive system first, and then reintroduce those foods into your diet when you're in a better position. But if you're healthy and you're okay to eat gluten, you've never really had any adverse effects, like myself, then I will still eat that.
Okay, so you're touching on heart disease and diabetes in the Asian community, and the fact that it could be linked to our genetics, and that it didn't affect the previous generations because of the work they did and the heat and the temperature and what have you. So a question that I actually got from a friend, Dussa Shah, who's based in Australia. Now he was saying, how can you have a clean desi diet, clean desi vegetarian diet? How can you achieve that?
So again, if we think about the foods that we eat, there's nothing actually wrong with cooking in high fats. But then when you introduce a lot of carbohydrate to that, like I said, you'll actually store a lot of that energy as fat, or your body will store it as subcutaneous fat. But if you kind of partition your macronutrients, so potentially you have a high fat and high protein meal for your first couple of meals a day, and then the other 2 meals you have high protein, high carb meal, your body will actually utilize that carbohydrate a lot better than if you just put it all together. So like high fat, high protein, high carb. And I know that sounds a bit kind of crazy, but your body actually responds a lot better hormonally when you do that, when you partition your food separately.
Okay, that's a strange one.
It is.
So obviously you're saying cooking as well. Now, when we cook our food, whether it be saag or dal or what have you, we use a lot of oil and butter. And then, do we need to cut down on that? Is there some way of, because langar, for example, is served at all the gurdwaras. And I know in particular gurdwara, I think in Derby, where the council are saying that they don't want butter in their dals and stuff like that, to cut down heart disease and try and limit the older generations that are suffering from this, that are eating langar every day. So how do gurdwaras and how do people move forward and try to change the way that we cook on that front?
So again, with the whole butter thing, butter's good for you.
Really? Even though it says so fatty?
It's how much you use.
Yep.
So I don't think we need to use as much as we do in our foods, but there's no reason that it's bad for you. Saturated fats your body needs. You need cholesterol in your body.
Yep.
If you mention to somebody that's maybe over 40 that your cholesterol's high, then they will freak out. They'll be really scared. They'll think they're going to have a heart attack. But cholesterol, your body needs to actually create testosterone, and your body needs testosterone to hold on to lean muscle tissue, give you that kind of vitality that you've got.
Yep.
So when you start taking out things like butter and kind of saturated fats that your body needs, you'll actually limit other areas of the body that requires that cholesterol and that saturated fat. So for me, again, it's about how much we're using. Do we need to use so much butter in a certain meal? And again, do we need to have it ruddy? Can we not just have it with another form of protein like quark or even a Greek yogurt?
So what is quark again?
It's like a soft cheese.
Okay.
But it's the consistency.
It's like
of
cottage. Is it like cottage cheese? Because I was looking at getting that when I was doing weights.
Yes, it's not too dissimilar from.
But is it lower in fat, I guess? Or?
It's 0% fat.
How do they achieve
and it's
that?
really
Then?
high in protein.
So it's called quark, yeah.
Quark, yeah.
Okay. So again, since I've been a vegetarian since 2005, and my food was quite bad. It was always fast food now and stuff like that. So how do what do people do when they want fast food? Because I think you're saying, when we're going out and we're eating out and what have you.
Yeah.
If it's vegetarian now, I'm always looking for Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Or Burger King do a spicy bean burger, or even McDonald's do vegetarian options as well, which is I know you were going to say it's processed, but how can we, as vegetarians, eat outside healthily, but still go out with family and do these sort of things?
So again, I think it's about being mindful from a lot of restaurants now. So again, when my clients, I understand that they've got lives to live as well. So it's not like they're going to be able to stick to the diet 100% of the time. Sometimes they'll want to take their families out. maybe go out for a birthday meal, a social occasion. And it's just knowing what to choose off a menu. Because most restaurants will do a vegetarian option. It's just knowing how will that fit into your overall macronutrient intake on that day or week, okay? So if you say to yourself, I'm going to eat a meal out on like a Saturday or a Sunday, and you say to yourself, well, what I need to do is reduce my calories slightly through the week so I can have that meal which is going to be higher in calories, your overall macronutrient intake within that week will be the same. So you will either maintain weight, or if you're looking at losing weight, you'll lower your calories slightly. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I had a question on that front from another friend, Bill Luke from Derby, and he said now he's similar height to me, and he's just come down to 13 stones, but he wants to lose more. He was saying, how can you lose this whole thing? How can you lose a stone in a month? Is that possible?
Yeah, it is possible, and I've done that with a few of my clients.
A stone?
Well, I've lost 3 stone in 3 months, which is pretty cool. Personally, I don't like to look at the scales.
Okay.
So, when someone says to me when they first come, they say, I want to lose this amount of weight. And then I look at them, I look at their structure, I look at their body composition, their ability to train, their ability to stick to a nutrition plan. And I think to myself, are they realistically looking to lose weight, or are they looking to lose body fat? And they're two different things. Weight loss just means obviously dropping on the scales. Fat loss is where you see specifically losing fat around the belly, around the lower back, around the chest. Yep. So that's a different ballpark. So if someone was coming to me for weight loss, all they'd need to do is increase their output, reduce their calorie intake.
So that for losing weight, so example, I think the way I lost weight was I used to walk at least 5 to 10 miles a day.
Yeah.
Still with that bad diet that you've got, but in the evenings, because I was exercising that or walking that much, I'd be a bit calorie deficit then.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's your weight loss. But the fat loss is something that I'm different.
The fat loss is where you've got to be a bit more specific with the calories that you eat. So you're eating healthy foods, basically. You're not eating the junk food anymore. And then we're looking to target, obviously, your macronutrients around your training need to be different compared to what you're having on your rest day. And then obviously your output is going to be different because you're going to be training in a gym, doing resistance training rather than just cardio. So if a weight loss client wanted to just lose weight, they could probably spend like the whole day just doing cardio, and they'd put themselves into a deficit where they'd lose weight. But they wouldn't necessarily look good or feel good afterwards, because as soon as they stop doing their cardio, what's going to happen?
It's going to come back.
It's going to come straight back on. But if you build lean tissue, and you'll actually, through having more lean tissue on your body, your metabolism will actually go up. So even on the days that you don't train, you'll be burning more calories just to hold on to the muscle tissue.
Okay, that's something different. Yeah, because I remember I went to the boxing, in Coventry Red Corner Boxing.
Yeah.
And the first time I went for a session there was last August. I was 16 stones and I was really well built because I used to train at Fitness Factory, so I did a lot of weights before then. But I did a box size class, and even though I was built and all that, I was gone within half an hour. I looked fit, but I was completely sweating, completely wasted. And after that, I joined that gym and I did cardio every day for about 2-3 months. But I was nothing left. I was a stick. After 3 months, everything, all the muscle and everything gone. And everyone said you're a unit, and now you've lost everything. That's the thing that was depressing. It actually does depress when you look at the photo. Think, how am I going to get that back?
Yeah, sure.
But then when you think about it, really, and people that are at the gym, there's probably guys at the gym thinking they're big and strong or that. You're not. It's just fat, really. It's not real muscle.
Well, again, when you look at that, you need to train for your purpose. So your purpose went from building muscle tissue as much as you possibly could every day, to then, I want to be fit, I want to be lean, I want to be agile to do boxing. So your purpose changed. So your purpose when you were training in the gym and you're looking to add lean tissue was spot on. You're fine, you're looking good, you're feeling good, feeling quite big and strong and powerful. But then when you tried to put that into a boxing ring, it was a completely different story. And in the same sense, if I was a marathon runner trying to lift heavy weights every day and doing resistance training, I would struggle. Does that make sense? So you've got to train for your goal. And I think this is what people struggle with. They've got too many different goals and they haven't got the one focus. So when their mind isn't clear and they don't know what they want, they end up doing loads of different things and not achieving anything.
So one thing that is quite depressing at the moment, and I don't know where, maybe it's the diet or the way that our culture is why there's so little success for Sikhs in sport. And why would you say that reason for it would be?
So I think now I believe that there's going to be more success. I can see that on the horizon. I really do feel that there's going to be more people making it in sports. You're already seeing in football, some of our lads are actually playing at a high level now. Even in boxing now, in Coventry, for example, there's a hotbed of talent there, and it's just growing. Like, these guys they're training from a young age, and they're going to develop into real athletes. But I feel like potentially our focus on education and career may have held us back in sports, if that makes sense, because we're so dedicated to make sure that we're safe and secure in our career, to make sure that obviously we've got earnings coming through for our families. Now I believe that there's going to be a bit more of a shift to people realising their potential, and as long as they're willing to put in the hard work and their hard work matches their potential, they're going to make it in sports.
I think now as well, the younger generation, they're seeing, before probably they thought, oh, there's no money in football, there's no, career and all that. But now people seeing in sports do pay well and probably better than other careers. But they've never really thought about that.
I really do believe
back,
so.
I mean, another thing that's hard is, you've got a great training routine, and your lifestyle is set every day. And you know what you're going to do. The temptations that people face now, alcohol, drugs, and obviously the bad food, but alcohol and drugs, for example. Especially alcohol and Sikhs. How do we stay away from, like food, that addiction to it? And what are the negative effects of alcohol on your body and your diets?
This is something almost like a mantra for me. My purpose I've got a higher sense of purpose, I believe. So I know where I want to be, and I'll do everything within my power to work towards that level. Okay, but if you've got one major focus in your mind, then you will do everything you can to make that happen and limit the effects of kind of temptation like alcohol, drugs, whatever's out there at the moment that could impact you from reaching your goal. For me, I just know where I want to be. I'm so focused and I'm so clear with that. And again, I think it comes down to like a lack of clarity for people. People don't know where they want to be or what they want to achieve. That's why they get kind of involved in all these kind of extracurricular activities.
So I mean, for Sikhs that are obviously drinking alcohol, that are addicted. There's so many Sikhs that are in families that are addicted to alcohol and all that stuff. Do you reckon it is due to the lifestyle and the diet, and or like, for example, you probably get a buzz, and I do as well, from exercise. You get such a big buzz from it, and you feel great from it. For the people that haven't got that buzz from exercise, or haven't come into exercise and a good diet, it also helps your mind and helps you de-stress and focus on what you want, and almost get rid of all your problems when you're cycling or what have you. Is that why so many Sikhs are stuck into the alcohol sort of addiction sort of thing, that they can't, all their problems are only solved from a glass?
I do feel like people don't have that outlet. Like, obviously we've got the outlet with exercise, and potentially they haven't got that outlet elsewhere in their lives, so they kind of turn to something that's going to kind of self-medicate them. And then obviously the issue with that is it's very difficult to know where to draw the line, or when you've got an issue that potentially needs to be sorted. And the other side of that, there's not much in the way of kind of, we don't talk about our problems.
It's hidden. See, there's a thing, if one person wants to admit that he's got an alcohol problem in the Asian community, and someone finds out about it, that's seen as even worse than the guy that's having the...
There's a huge stigma attached to, obviously, alcohol or alcoholism, and for that reason, people don't know where to turn, or they feel like they're actually trapped in that life. There actually isn't many places that they can go to, especially if there's a language barrier as well. So I do feel that people kind of get caught in that kind of trap, but there are outlets out there.
There are, like we've got SeekHelpline.com where people can contact if they've got problems, and family members that have, because obviously with that you've got other problems. Now obviously because you're a dietitian and into fitness, how does alcohol affect your body?
So on a kind of physiological perspective, alcohol will cause you to increase in obviously body fat, and the reason for that is, again, getting down to the kind of science of it, when alcohol breaks down in your body will want to prioritise that as fuel. So when you're eating alongside that, so when you're having your carbohydrates or your high fat meals alongside the alcohol, your body's already prioritised the alcohol as fuel, and it will store the rest as fat. Okay. But also when you eat, your appetite goes up. So when you drink, your appetite will actually go up. So you'll actually start eating more rubbish foods, and obviously because your sense of awareness has come down, you just eat whatever's around you. So if you're on a strict diet, that kind of just goes out the window because you've had a few drinks.
Yep.
So again, you're just going to overeat, overconsume calories, and you're not actually breaking down the carbohydrates and fats that you're consuming.
So what would you say to someone out there now who's obviously drinking a lot and stuff like that, and then he's thinking, oh, you guys, we're just talking about exercise and we're slim, we're this, we're that, and we've got bikes and we already going all the time. How can they get into that? What's the first step that they can do to say, because gyms do exist nearly on every, you're probably a mile away from your closest gym, if that, or half a mile. How do you get people to say, people that are nervous saying, oh, I can't do it or I can't go there? What would you say to them?
For them, I would say start with a lifestyle change. Start with something that's not gym related. Start with something that's completely within your comfort zone. Going for a walk, like you did yourself.
Yep.
Go for a walk first and see how that makes you feel. And when you start to see results, that's when it becomes a little bit addictive, where you want to keep going and you want to start pushing yourself a little bit further. For me, when I started the gym and I started to see kind of muscles develop that I hadn't had before, then it made me really want to go more.
Yep.
I wanted to see where I could take that. Okay, and for yourself, when you started cycling, you probably couldn't imagine doing 75 or 71
do a mile
miles.
or two, and that was it. I was
Exactly.
wasted,
But once you start a process and you start to see results, that is kind of the fuel for the fire, and you'll just keep going and you'll want to take it further.
Okay, great. So now, in the UK, they're saying 1 in 4, a study by the European Union, 1 in 4 adults are obese in the UK. So it obviously affects every community, in the Asian communities as well. So what do we say to someone what tips would you give, 3 tips, for example, on someone who wants to lose weight? What would your 3 tips be?
So my top 3 tips would be reduce inflammation within the body. I would also expect someone to look at their gut health and make sure that their gut is actually in a healthy state to actually digest foods and make the most of the foods that you're eating, and just start to be more physically active. Okay, and when I say inflammation, like, it's a kind of sciencey word that people potentially don't know what that means. But all it means is, like I said earlier, if you can pinch your skin and it's quite rubbery, then you've probably got inflammation.
I didn't know that at all. So is that a medical term? So
inflammation is a medical term.
I'll get you to pinch my skin later on.
But even things like feeling bloated,
yeah,
you've probably got inflammation.
But loads of Asians say, "Oh, my dad this," or but everyone says that in the older generation, and that's probably because they've got some
form of inflammation. And like when you've got joint pains or elbow pain from your lifting or just general day-to-day routine, that's just a form of inflammation. The ways that we can look at kind of resolving that is looking at different areas of your life, like diet, like stress, reducing alcohol, for example. That's going to have a massive effect on reducing inflammation. Mm-hmm. The other areas, like I said, gut health. Make sure you're increasing your fibre intake. Make sure that you're taking supplements like L-glutamine, which helps repair your digestive lining, so in your intestine. And also taking things like probiotics, which actually create a better environment for your bacteria within your gut. So you're actually digesting foods a lot better and actually absorbing them. Okay. Physical activity, like I mentioned. When you're doing physical activity, people think, oh, he means go to the gym. And then that straight away, they're like, no, that's too much for me. I don't want to go there. Okay. But physical activity could just be going for a walk, just being more active. There's even apps on your phone now which will track how many steps you take. So say if you want to say, I want to do 10,000 steps today, there's apps on your phone which will tell you when you've achieved that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the Samsung Got Health, and iPhone have got the same ones.
Yes.
And I think you have 6,000 steps a day is the basic that you try to get, and then you try and raise that to 10,000 or what have you.
Exactly.
We were going over about diet again, and the importance of it. Water as well. What is the importance of water? Because I know a lot of people don't see the importance of that.
So water, it's almost 2/3 of your body. So 2/3 of your body right now is made of water. So if you're dehydrated anyway, that's going to have an effect on your performance, your cognitive function as well, just your ability to concentrate and think. And even to, your metabolism and digesting foods, you need water. But when you're dehydrated, your body won't know that you're dehydrated and you will actually start eating more. So you won't know when to cut off your food. So it's really interesting. People walk around dehydrated. Most of the population walk around dehydrated, but they don't know what it feels like to be hydrated.
Okay. So I mean, in the mornings I start with one thing I changed for my weight loss was I drink 2 pints of water. Before, as soon as I get up, brush my teeth, 2 pints of water, and that's it. And I think that's really helped me throughout
Yeah.
the day and in the morning.
And I'll do something very similar. So I always make sure that I start my day with around 500 ml of water.
Yeah.
And then I'll have something for my gut. So I'll have something like a greens drink with...
What's it called?
It's called a greens drink. You can make your own.
Yeah.
But it's basically high in fibre.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of iron in there
Mhm.
and B vitamins.
Yep.
And I'll have that with some glutamine, which
Yep.
I said like before, it helps with your repairing your gut lining.
Yep.
And I'll have something in there like aloe vera juice,
Yep.
which again is just to balance your pH levels of your gut.
Yep.
So that's something that I start off my day with every day.
Okay.
And since I've started that routine, no matter how much food I eat, I still feel okay.
Okay, that's really good. So I think our time's coming to an end.
Yeah.
We've probably got a minute or so. So if you wanted to, the cameras, you can just discuss what your main tips would be for, weight loss and overall health. What changes you can do as a person.
So simple changes that you can make today is be more aware of your food intake. So you can actually find out what you should be eating in terms of your calorie intake, especially for weight loss. The most simple way to do that is get your body weight in pounds and just times that by 10. And that should be the amount of calories that you eat if you're looking to lose weight. Another thing that you can do with that is make sure that you're having a high quality protein source. So if you're a vegetarian, making sure that you're not just having corn products and processed foods. Make sure that you're getting a balanced diet from real foods.
Yep.
The other side of this is obviously physical activity, and I'm hoping to obviously go into a lot more detail on physical activity in another program.
Yep.
But if you just make sure that you are actually exercising at least once a day, even if it's for 20 minutes, and we can all find 20 minutes within our day, if it means getting up half an hour earlier, or maybe straight after work, or even in your lunch break, just becoming more physically active will allow you to lose weight.
Juggy Singh Sidhu, thanks a lot for your time on Sangat TV. Thank you all for watching Sangat TV Sports Show. We aim to bring you more shows like this for the youth and all generations. Please feel free to sponsor our shows, or any donations are more than welcome. And we'll hopefully be able to bring you more shows that are new shows and help all the Sangat in all their goals. Thank you and goodbye.